today I wanted to share with you, the idea that our brains are actually primed for danger. And, thousands of years ago, when we used to live in caves and we were vulnerable to, the animal kingdom that was around us, it helped us to survive. So, being hypersensitive to any kind of danger that was surrounding us was very helpful for our longevity. Unfortunately, we've held on to that. And in this day and age, we don't have as much danger as we used to have thousands of years ago. For the most part, we have comfortable homes and we're protected from the elements. The problem with a hypersensitive brain is that if it's always on alert and it's always looking for negative, things, it goes looking for those negative things in our lives. And so it might actually make a mountain out of a molehill. And it takes practice to actually identify it when it does that and to reframe the situation, but also to find ways of rewiring the brain so that we focus on the positives in life and not just the default, which is automatically to be aware of the negatives. So one good way of doing that is creativity. And this first exercise, I wanted to kind of, ease you into finding creativity and what brings you joy. And so most of us don't really spend much time in identifying what are the little details in life that really make us smile. And that's what this exercise is about, is to first identify the things, that kind of make your heart feel light and happy and joyful. And maybe for some of you, that comes easier than others. But with practice, it gets easier and easier. So the more we do it, the more aware we become of those moments in life. And the reason this is important, and I know it can sound really simplistic, but the reason this is important is related to our physiology and biochemistry. So when we're in a state of mind that comes with fear or based on fear, our nervous system actually releases stress hormones. And in the case of we're about to burn ourselves on the stove and, we remove our hands right away, we need those stress hormones to tell us, pull away really fast, right? So in that case, it's helpful, an acute release of stress hormones. But for many of us, throughout our lives, we get chronic release of stress hormones where our nervous system is always on high alert. And that's not healthy for our bodies. One of the things among many, but to keep it basic, one of the things that happens is when our brains are bathed in this increase in stress hormones, there's actually sections of the brain that actually get smaller. And some of those sections are things like, that maintain homeostasis of our body, or even, have to do with learning. So it's actually a necessity for us to find ways to relax, to calm down, to find joy, because it directly affects our physiological state. So among exercise and meditation and music and gardening, and there's a plethora of things, any form of creativity really is a great way to tap into that relaxation state of mind. And that's why this course is so important. It may sound pretty trivial, just like it's an art course, I'm just going to be painting, but on a deeper level, it's actually working much deeper than that. So remember, it's not an indulgent activity, it's actually an investment into your physical and mental health. And when we're happier, we have healthier relationships as well. So it's like a gift that keeps on giving. So I realize that there's a complexity of reasons as to why most of us delay starting a creative process or hobby. But among them is an important one. And believe it or not, fear plays a role. And so, there's some people think they're just not capable of being creative, or they just weren't born that way. But the truth is, anybody can be creative. It's a natural state of being that our psyche really needs. And it's just a matter of finding which type of creativity actually you're comfortable with and you enjoy doing. It doesn't have to be a successful professional outlet, although it can be. It can lead to that. But it's just something that makes you feel good, that takes you away from the day-to-day monotony and stresses in life. And you create this space just for yourself that can just take you away in the moment and tap into that inner part of you that, we don't spend too much time with, or enough time with. So this fear that we're just not going to be good enough, or that we weren't born to do this, gets in the way. And fear is about, vulnerability. We feel vulnerable at putting ourselves out there, and we feel as though, we just don't know what we're doing. So why even bother starting? But the truth is that when we put ourselves out there, we will make mistakes, right? Especially in the beginning. And even throughout, mistakes will be made. But once we accept that mistakes is part of growing, it's part of finding our joy, it actually makes things easier. And so in this week's lesson, I've included a video by Brene Brown, and some of you might be familiar with her work. But I highly recommend that you watch it, because she describes in her video the importance that vulnerability plays in everything we do, in our daily lives, in our careers, in our family life, in our friendships. It's an essential part of who we are, and it's really necessary for us to grow, develop, and find true joy. So that's what this week's theme is really about. It's connecting you to your joy, finding that spark that's going to start it all out, and to just embracing the fact that, mistakes will be made, but it's important to be vulnerable and push through.